Welcome to Copilots, the podcast where we watch not just the first episode of a show,
but also the second. Some shows don't have the best pilot episode, and giving that a second chance might just change your mind.
Here we take that chance for you and let you know our opinion on if a show deserves more than one shot.
I'm Justice. Alongside me is my co-pilot Josh. Now, let's get ready for takeoff. Your in-flight entertainment this time will be Supergirl.
Before we get into it, I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit on the podcast.
Yeah.
Give people a look into the actual cockpit where the movie, TV show magic, podcast magic is made.
That's a lot of different types of magic.
So normally, when an episode comes out for you passengers, we recorded it the day before.
What? No.
Maybe the morning of.
That sounds crazy.
I'm not saying we're bad at getting ahead, but we're terrible at getting ahead.
Yep.
What we are good at is consistently putting out episodes on the 2nd, 12th, and 22nd.
Yeah. Except for once a year.
Unfortunately, this year, the 2nd falls on a Friday at the beginning of August.
Yeah.
Which is a problem, because that's Gen Con Friday.
It is.
If you don't know what Gen Con is, it's like Comic Con, except half the size and nerdier.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny because that's exactly what it is. Comic Con is up to 150,000 annual attendance. Gen Con is about 75,000. And Gen Con's board games, role-playing games, tabletop RPGs, more nerdy. It's Dungeons and Dragons, the con.
Yeah.
War Games, the con. Not War Games, the movie, but War Games like tabletop war games.
Board games, the con.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so because of that, we're actually recording this a little early.
Not much, but a little, yeah.
But yeah, this marks part 3 of our 3-part DC Universe dive.
The thing we unintentionally did. DC Summer.
Hot DC girl summer.
Look, I like I mentioned last time, I just heard things were heating up in DC, so I figured we should as well, and then I realized I was thinking about the wrong thing.
Shit has went wild in DC lately.
Yeah.
Fucking Biden stepping down. I don't even get into the politics, but
Oliver Queen siding with Amanda Waller and her Amazo robots.
That is a little fucked. Fuck you, Oliver.
Yeah. She's paired up with, Batman's robot replacement.
Whose name I never remember.
I don't either. The Amazo robots, and, from my understanding, one of the only plans they have at the moment, or at least as far as, the rest of, I don't know what to call them, so Team Arrow, minus Oliver, is to see if they can get help from fucking Dr. Ivo, because he's, the best thing for, hey, man, you made Amazo. Could you help with the Amazo robots?
My favorite part is the Batman robot that you're talking about, the replacement for Batman in this Amazo Justice League.
Yes.
Isn't, a replacement for Batman. Batman built this robot to kill Batman if Batman went rogue.
Yeah, he stepped up his game plan for, my contingency plan for Batman is the League, too. Yeah, no, the League fucking sucks. I could beat all of them, no problem. I thought before they could handle it, they can't. I made a robot to do it.
To be fair, he has a contingency plan for what if the entire Justice League other than him goes rogue.
Yeah.
So if he goes rogue, he has the contingency plans to take down the Justice League.
Yeah, exactly. I never understood how he was it was honestly him talking out of his ass when the other ones found out the contingency plans. He's like, fuck. Yeah, the reason why you didn't find a contingency plan is because it was you guys all along. Power of friendship. Clark is going to buy this, right? Clark will buy this.
And then he tells all of his kids, no. The contingency plan is you guys. You're going to bring me back.
You're the power of family. Love. Yeah.
Jason Todd's over here kicking a wall motherfuckers lying to us.
Right.
Anyways, this is Supergirl. I don't know the year on this show. I could probably find it if I wanted to.
Episode 1 aired on October 26th, 2015.
And like a proper TV show, the episodes have titles. And like a proper TV show, the first episode is titled Pilot.
It is indeed.
So, we all know the story of Superman.
Yeah.
He comes from the planet Vegeta.
Yeah.
Was put in a pod as a child because his home planet was getting ready to be blown up.
Mhm.
And he had to be sent to Earth where he learned Kung Fu from an old Japanese man.
I thought he crash landed in Russia and then became like a supreme dictator.
Yes.
What I
And his name was Kakarot.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But we all do know the story of Superman. It's like probably as well known as I got bit by a radioactive spider or that mean man killed my parents in an alley.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, as far as comic book origin stories go, Superman's is like...
There are 3 classic ones everyone knows. It's Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman.
Yeah, but this isn't that story.
No, this is the story of his cousin, who also got sent to Earth because their planet was blowing up. But instead of, being like a wee little babby, she was like 13 and was being sent to protect the wee little babby.
Yeah, and her name is Kara Zor-El.
Mm-hmm.
Because his name is Kal Zor-El.
Yeah, no, his name is Kal-El. L is the family name. It's
Zor is
something
part of her
half
name.
name.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. Hers is Kara Zor-El. He is Kal-El.
Yeah, that's it. That's his name. I don't know if he has another part of his name.
That's his entire name. It's Kel-L.
Yeah, I don't know why she has 2 first names and a bunch of people do, but like not Clark Kent.
Well, Jor-El's brother's name is Zor-El.
Yeah.
And then Kara is Kara Zor-El.
But then why isn't Superman's Kal Jor-El? Do only women get the describer of who their father is? Because that seems pretty fucked up of Krypton.
I'm having a lot of questions right now. That I didn't have when I watched the show.
I mean, I'm having a lot of questions that I haven't had while thinking about Superman before.
Anyways, they launch baby Clark at the Earth.
And then wait for so fucking long to send Clara afterwards. Like, I get, like, not a long time, but, like, reasonably these ships should be launched, like, probably within, like, 5 minutes of each other, right?
Hey, to be fair, the same thing happened to Goku's... Wait, no, never mind. I don't know. Turles is a weird one.
Yeah. Is he canon? Is he not canon? Who knows?
I don't even know if he's canon.
Yeah, no idea.
I thought he was evil Bardock for the longest time.
Right. Oh, the early invasion of anime to the West. So we were just like, here's art of this character. We've never seen him in anything. Hey, I heard he's this guy. Really? Oh, that's so fucking cool. And then actually finding out, I was like, I don't know. I like the thing that one kid told me in that playground that one time so much more.
Oh, no,
Evil Bardock seemed better.
It's so much like old video games, like
Yeah.
how before the internet was like pervasive, like you'd having whispered conversations on the playground. You'd be like, "Did you know that after you beat Kingdom Hearts, you can fight Sephiroth?"
Yeah.
And his sword takes up like the whole screen, and it's like, I don't know if you're telling the truth or not. Like,
yeah, I haven't beat it yet.
Who's beat Kingdom Hearts? We're fucking 9.
Yeah. Fun fact, you don't have to beat it. You do have to get pretty far in the game.
You have to unlock Hollow Bastion, and then you can fight Sephiroth.
And his sword doesn't take up the entire screen, but it takes up a decent chunk of the screen when he swings at you.
It feels like it takes up the whole screen,
the entire
though.
screen, yeah. Like,
the best part about that fight is his music hits, and if you're not ready for it, you're instantly dead before it gets done with it. Sephiroth!
Yeah, you do. But for some reason, she gets launched definitely way too late after him, and she gets caught in the shockwave of the planet blowing up. Because her job is to follow behind and then help protect a very young baby on a foreign planet where she will apparently have superpowers.
Yeah, because her parents tell her, hey, you're going to have superpowers on this planet because their sun is different than our sun.
Yep.
Which also, if you're a spacefaring species, why wouldn't you just, like...
Go to a different planet where you have superpowers.
Like, why?
Yeah. Like, so in the comics, there's always loads and loads of rogue Kryptonians that we don't know about. But most of them do end up, like, coming from, like, the Phantom Zone or some shit, right?
Yeah.
Why haven't we just come across, like, rogue Kryptonians who are like, no, man, we live on a different planet. We're pretty peaceful. We don't want to invade Earth. We just came to this place where we have superpowers and life is super easy in comparison. And also, we don't have to worry about natural resources because the sun just keeps us alive.
Yeah, like, I get the idea. There's a little bit of an idea in the Superman comics where, like, the reason why they stay on Krypton and don't, like, go to a planet with a yellow sun is because the, like, whole, if everybody's super, then nobody.
Yeah.
Bullshit. If everybody's super, you can build buildings faster, you're less likely to die to, like, basic accidents. Society is safer and better for everybody.
The use of resources goes down, arguably, because you don't need as much. And that's one of the huge problems Krypton had. They were overusing their resources. And part of it was, like, building weapons and stuff. Guess what? You don't need to build weapons when you are a fucking weapon.
But they had spaceships and
yeah.
intergalactic prisons.
Yeah.
And they were an intergalactic
But they were
court.
using up the resources of Krypton and destroying it. It's just like, bitch, go to a different planet. You can probably find resources there to make ships.
So I've been making a bunch of Dragon Ball Z references because Goku often gets called a Superman knockoff.
Yes, and hence the whole Goku versus Superman, who would win in a fight bullshit. The answer is Superman because he's broken. DC is broken. Continue.
Well, it's because Superman is defined by not having an upper limit, and Goku is defined
Yes.
by continuously breaking his upper limits. Which means Goku has to have limits in order to break them.
In other words, Goku has to fight Superman once, fail, eat a senzu bean, and then train to go fight Superman again, and then he might win.
Mm-hmm. But even then, unlikely because, again, Superman is defined by not having limits. But only reason I'm bringing Dragon Ball Z back up is because DBZ's origin story for Goku getting sent to Earth is very similar to Superman's.
Yeah.
The planet's getting ready to be destroyed. His parents are trying to save him. The key difference is the Saiyans were the ones actively destroying the planet.
Yes.
And there are other Saiyans out there, and like the reason why you don't encounter a lot of other Saiyans is because they were all subjugated by an intergalactic ruler who's like forced them into slavery.
Yeah, exactly.
That like in Superman, the Kryptonians were like the high court of the intergalactic. They're the ones that So it doesn't make sense. Anyways, she gets trapped in the Phantom Zone, trapped there for 24 years. By the time she actually spins out of the Phantom Zone and crashes on Earth, Clark Kent's are all grown up. He doesn't need her protection. In fact, he's the one that has to kind of like protect her and guide her. He finds her a foster family and then says, fuck you, I'm not guiding you at all.
Yeah,
I did it by myself, do it by yourself.
He finds her and then takes her to live with the Danvers family, where she is given the human name of Carol. Not Carol. Carol Danvers is a different character.
I think it's just Kara
Yeah,
Danvers.
they just call her Kara still.
Because Kara is a human name.
Yeah.
Honestly, Cal is also a human name. You just spell it with a C.
Look, man, I said Carol Danvers for a reason. They're both blonde and fly through space with magic alien powers.
And are both insanely powerful.
Yeah. But she gets put with the Danvers family, who, just a fun aside, fun fact of trivia, the mother in that situation, who's adopted her, is, I believe, the person who played Clark's mother in Smallville.
That's fun.
Not Martha Kent, but Jor-El's wife.
That's fun. That's fun little references. The Danvers already have a daughter, though.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Eliza.
Eliza.
And the two of them become friends because they're sisters and they're forced to grow up together.
Yep. And Kara decides, well, since my cousin already has everything handled, I can just be normal.
Should we note also that the Danvers both are scientists?
Yes. Who already vaguely know who Superman is.
Yeah. They once helped him with something, so, like, he trusts them.
Yeah.
And in these first two episodes, they're not an important factor at all.
Not at all.
They're here, and that's it.
We see them literally once in a flashback where she's talking about how she arrived here. And then we cut to her in modern-day National City. And she is working as an assistant for Cat Grant, the head of... I forget the name of her newspaper. Is it the Daily Tribune?
I think it's the Tribune. I don't have it in my notes. So
we're
going to call it the Tribune.
Works for me.
What do you want to just... I hate DC city names.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotham is like acceptable. I'll take Gotham. I don't like Gotham City. Like Gotham City, stupid. Gotham, fine. Metropolis, stupid. But at this point, it's so established that like, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Star City, Coast City, Central City.
So it's not the Daily Tribune. It's the National City Tribune. I think that may have been changed to Daily Tribune. I looked it up. But so National City is a reference to DC's original comic name. They were originally called National Comics instead of DC Comics.
DC Comics is a stupid name too.
Yeah.
Do we want to get into this?
Sure, go ahead.
DC's bad at naming things.
What?
Because DC Comics, which is the full name of that company, the DC stands for Detective Comics. It's an ATM machine.
Yep. At least when they were National Comics, that's all it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, she lives in National City working for Cat Grant for the Tribune.
So she's on the phone, walking through the street, ordering tickets for an orchestra.
That Cat's mother wants to go see while she's in the city.
There's some other talk to establish how important Cat Grant is. Talking about a correspondence dinner with the White House, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Basically how she can make demands about who she gets to sit next to, all that stuff.
Yeah, she wants to make sure she's not sitting next to Bill O'Reilly again.
Which fair.
And then she walks into Catco Worldwide Media, which is the name of the company that Cat...
Yes. And she walks in and she meets up with her friend Win Scott. Yeah. And they kind of just talk about how there's some problems, like an armed car robbery that happened.
The single witness is like, the person that robbed the car had horns. I swear they had horns.
And he's trying to convince Kara that the guy with horns was definitely real and maybe like an alien, and she should definitely check out this blog because aliens are real and they're among us. And she's like,
what proof do you have? And he's like, I have this pretty trusty blog. And she's like, yeah, the one you write.
He's like, I don't write for it. I contribute sometimes. So, good moment. Like, amusing.
Yeah. He then asks if Kara wants to go see a movie together.
Yep. And she's like, I would, but I have a date tonight.
He's like, oh, because obviously Wynn has a thing for Kara. She doesn't notice because she just assumes he's the best friend.
Yep.
That's kind of like their undertone.
And maybe it'll be a good date. They're an 82% match on the online dating site she used. He's like, can't trust an algorithm to determine love. You just kind of know it. She's like, aren't you in IT? Our algorithms are your whole thing.
He's like, yeah, which is why I would know if there was an algorithm to determine love.
Yeah.
And honestly, so we're knee deep in the Arrowverse at this point.
Yes.
I'm going to take a quick aside. We're knee deep in the Arrowverse. We're 220 something episodes in. That's almost halfway to the end of Arrow. I thought, based on everything I've heard, that Supergirl would start worse. That Supergirl would have worse dialogue.
Yeah.
This has been well-written, snappy, fun dialogue. Like, we might not be delivering the jokes with the punch that they have.
But that's not our fucking job.
It's good writing.
Yeah, it's actually surprisingly good.
I chuckled more than once in this opening 10-15 minutes of this episode. It's good writing.
So much better than the opening of Flash
and
Arrow. And honestly, another thing that it does really well in these first two episodes, I'll mention it kind of when we get to it, but there's another thing that it does that I'm so happy we don't have to fucking deal with again. But, so they're talking, and then with her super hearing, she hears Miss Grant, coming up her own personal elevator. She gets there after Kara alerts everyone she's coming. Everyone's like, I still don't know how you do that, but whatever. And Grant is complaining about the smell in her personal elevator because she only bought it so she didn't have to deal with anyone else, and she hates the way it smells now. So she wants Kara to find the person responsible and fire them, as well as a bunch of other people, because she brings Kara into a room to talk about how they're going to need to downsize the Tribune.
Yeah, like you were saying, specifically she says that she bought this building because it had a private elevator, which is amazing. Yeah, so Kara is obviously concerned about all the families that are going to be like having trouble with people being terminated.
Yeah, and she's like, the Daily Planet has never had a downsize.
And Kat's like, yeah, well, the Daily Planet gets to like spend half their headlines writing about a superhero. We don't have that luxury in National City.
Give me a superhero, I don't have to fucking fire anyone.
Which, fair.
Yeah. She also goes off kind of about, in like a brief moment, she'll do it again later, about Perry White, because if you don't know your DC lore, Cat Grant used to be the assistant for Perry White, the head of the Daily Planet, who for the longest time in the comics was kind of a well-known jackass. He gets better. He's never as antagonistic as, say, a J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
But he's kind of just a dick to Clark.
But he's also never been played as good of an actor as J.K. Simmons.
Yes.
So, like, Lawrence Fishburne's great, but he's not a J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. So, Perry White, kind of a dick, good at his job, a fairly respectable reporter as well. And Cat Grant worked underneath him, so definitely was...
Not just a fairly respectful reporter. One of the big things about him...
is how many times he's a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter.
It's not just he's a Pulitzer Prize winner, but, like, his code of ethics is fucking airtight.
I'm pretty sure he's died multiple times in the comics because he refused to not do the ethically correct thing when it comes to his reporting.
Yeah, not to do the ethically incorrect thing. Yeah. Like, this dude lives and dies by the code of ethics.
Yeah.
That Perry White would rather die than, like, give up a source. The dude is, like, hard-hitting 50s journalism.
Yeah, he's a dick because he's from the 50s. But other than that, he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, but yeah, Cat Grant was his assistant, it's mentioned here. But Cat sends Kara to go pick up the page spreads.
Yes, because she's trying to finish up the layouts for the newspaper.
Yeah, the layouts, that's what they are.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's sending her to go with the pictures for the layout. She has so the layout is how you're laying out your text and you leave blank spots for pictures. So she has that done. She just needs the pictures to put in because that'll give you a better idea of a visual layout of it if it flows well. Because some pictures just aren't going to flow well into the others. So she needs to go to their new photographer to get the pictures.
But yeah, so she goes to get these new layouts from the new member of the photography department.
Who could it be? I don't know about you, but I thought it was pretty obvious.
Ooh, I have an idea. It's going to be the superhero known as Guardian.
You're so fucking wrong.
He's going to start working at the Tribune.
No, it's Eddie Brock, so he doesn't have to fucking deal with Peter Parker anymore.
Oh, fuck. Oh, actually, it's J. Jonah Jameson before he's, like, running the Daily Bugle.
Give me pictures. Pictures of Superman.
Give me pictures. Pictures of Superman.
Yeah. No, it's Jimmy Olsen, obviously.
I mean, one of us wasn't wrong.
Future knowledge of the series doesn't apply here, so I can't be super upset.
In case you're wondering what he's talking about, dear viewers,
I just want Mal Duncan.
Jimmy Olsen somehow gets shoehorned into being Guardian in Supergirl. I don't know how. He doesn't know how. We just know it's a thing that happens.
It's because they made Jimmy Olsen black, which I'm completely fine with, but then they're like, our most popular Guardian character is black, so we're just gonna make the black guy in our show a superhero.
Which is funny, because by the time he becomes Guardian in Supergirl, we already have a Guardian running around in the Arrowverse.
Yep.
Which is why this isn't actually mainline Arrowverse until it becomes mainline Arrow.
And neither of them are Mal Duncan.
No, one of them is a character created as tribute to one of the creator's brothers. That's John Diggle.
Neither of them are Mal Duncan. I just want Mal Duncan to show up, man. He's such a... I like him as a character for the most part. Sometimes he fucking sucks, but it's part of what makes him a good, rounded character.
So she gets into the office and she's told to wait by Jimmy Olsen. And she's like, if you've met Cat Grant, you know that she doesn't like to wait.
Yeah.
And he's like, what, is she going to fire me? The same
On my
day,
first day?
On my first day? And Kara's like, oh.
Well, and then he turns around and she's looking at a picture that is a print of the first picture taken of Superman.
And she's like, oh, this is a really good photo. And he's like, yeah, I took it.
Yeah.
In fact, it won me an award of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he says.
Fun fact, a little
a
well known.
Pulitzer, actually.
Yeah. Fun fact, a little well known. He posed for it, actually.
And she's like, oh, wait, you're Jimmy Olsen.
And he's like, James, only the guy in blue kind of calls me that. Hasn't really caught on yet.
Yeah, and he just gives her the print. He's like, it's just a print. You can have it. No big deal.
I'm just going to throw it out there. He's not very good friends with Superman. Superman hasn't given him the watch that can call him from space where sound doesn't travel.
It is weird that he doesn't have that watch, specifically because he's moved away from Clark.
From Metropolis to go help Clark's cousin.
We don't know that yet.
Yeah, we'll get to it. It's obvious, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't have the watch. He doesn't have the Super Friends watch. Crazy.
So we then cut to Kara at her apartment.
Yep.
Getting ready for a date. She's called her foster sister over.
Yeah.
Eliza, because she doesn't know what to wear. And while she's talking to Eliza, she's like...
Her foster sister's name is Alex. Eliza was her mother.
Oh, Alex. That's my bad. I'm stupid. I
thought it was wrong earlier, but I also said the wrong name, so I just assumed I was wrong.
So she invites her sister Alex over because she doesn't know what to wear for the date. And the entire time she's talking about how she just doesn't feel like she's living up to her potential. She could be doing so much more. She could be helping people. She could be doing whatever, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Alex is just like, it's fine. You're going to be fine. It's going to be a good date, whatever. And then she goes on the date, and it's fucking horrible. She tries to talk to the guy. He gives up after like 2 sentences from her, gets a text, says he has to take it, walks over to the hostess, and then in a conversation that she eavesdrops in on, which she really shouldn't. You don't. That's a bad idea. You're just going to get yourself hurt. They're like, on some emotional level or like mental level, just like, guy's clearly a dick, but whatever. He's telling the hostess to just close the tab and give them the check.
No, specifically close the tab, give him the check.
And then he leaves.
He doesn't want to go to the table.
Yeah.
He doesn't want her to know that he's just leaving her.
He also just left her with the check because he asked for the check. She didn't give it to him, which implies the check is being sent to the table.
Yeah.
And he left.
But also, in the case of having superpowers, I would do this all the time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, you're like,
but like if
she's just going to hurt herself. I'm like, yeah, well.
If you're that anxious or like nervous about this, don't do that to yourself. That's a bad decision. So now on her way, getting ready to leave, she sees the TV in the area that they're at. Come on.
It's a TV at the bar or the restaurant.
It's at the bar, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's about how there's a plane that was leaving for a
It's flight 237 to Geneva.
Yes.
Her sister was going to Geneva for something. Mm-hmm. They mentioned that while she was getting ready for a date.
Yeah.
And it's been doing death spirals above National City because one of his engines is out and it like can't land for some reason. And
yeah, I don't know why it can't land. Like its engine is out, but you mentioned nothing about its landing gears. It's around the city. You get someone to clear it. It shouldn't be that hard.
So, because its engines are going out, it's doing death spirals around the city.
And her sister is about to die, supposedly. Kara decides, I'm going to run off into this alley, rip off my jacket, and then jump in the sky, fail to fly, jump in the sky again, succeed at flying, and go stop an airplane.
Yeah, she does almost destroy an entire bridge, but it's an almost.
Yeah.
And then she slowly lets the plane down into the river.
Another fun fact, it's named after one of the creators of Supergirl, Otto Binder Bridge. Otto Binder.
Nice. So, after the flight is successfully crashed safely, cut to Kara at her apartment, where her sister is like, what do you think you were doing? Like,
yeah. And she's like, I know, can you believe it? Like, I honestly, I was really scared and nervous, but like, so she's very upbeat, anxious energy, like so much nervous excitement energy.
The comedy here in this scene comes from the fact that Alex is obviously berating Kara for exposing herself to the world, and Kara thinks she's like kind of congratulating her and being like, I can't believe you just did that. And Kara's like, I know, right? I can't either.
Yeah, Kara's too full of positive excitement, and her sister is just assumedly scared for her sister's safety.
I mean, assumedly scared for her safety. Like,
Yeah, that too.
there's a person I follow on TikTok.
Yes.
His name is Nick Hill-Clayton.
Yes, you've mentioned him before.
He does a bunch of comic book sketches. He did a sketch recently where a guy walks in the room and goes, "Hey, you won't believe what just happened." And his friend is like, and it's his best friend. His best friend goes, "What? Did you get a promotion or something?" He's like, "No, I got superpowers. I'm gonna be a superhero." And his friend's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, and he's like, "We're not friends anymore. I'm moving as far away from you as possible right this second." And he's like, "Why? I thought you'd be super excited for me." He's like, "Do you understand the world we live in? You're going to become a superhero, and I'm going to be used as, like...
bait and so much. I'm going to get killed. You're going to get me killed, man. Thanks."
And, like, the guy's like, "No, but I was bitten by a radio..." He's like, "Oh, so I'm definitely dying now. Thanks."
Yeah. I'm either dying or becoming a villain, man. I'm going to just go.
But
it's
yeah.
not even like a villain by choice. It's probably gonna be some weird, like my brain's just gonna get messed up. You're just gonna get my brain messed up.
And I think that's kind of where Alex was. I thought that was where Alex was coming from.
Fair.
Do you know what you just did? Like, yeah,
I've seen what your cousin does. Do you know how often Lois Lane almost dies? It's like every other fucking week, man.
Yeah, that's where I thought she was coming from.
There's a reason why Jimmy Olsen just moved into this city.
So Kara does decide to become a hero.
Yeah.
And the next day, she's talking with Wynn about, like, how terrible her date went, and, like, she's like, "But I have to tell you something.
Meet me on the roof."
Meet me on the roof. And so she's up on the roof.
And he's like, hey, the date couldn't have been that bad.
And then she starts talking. She's like, "I have something to tell you. It's about who I've been, and I've been denying." And he's like, "Oh, thank God you're a lesbian. That's why you're not into me." And she's like, "What? No, I'm not a lesbian."
Yeah, this isn't the first time that's happened to her.
It is, like, this is the worst written joke in the episode.
Legitimately, though, not the first time it's happened to Supergirl. She tried to tell her parents she was a superhero once, and this was the same conversation, basically.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
She's like, "No, the woman who saved the plane?"
It was me. I did. And he's like, "Okay, yeah, sure." He's like, "I can fly. I'll prove it to you." And then steps off the fucking building. She didn't have to step off anything. I had to go save a fucking plane.
No, hold on. She doesn't step off the building and then, like, start flying immediately. She steps off the building, plummets to what her friend thinks is her death, and then flies back up.
Yeah.
I did skip a scene in this where there's a meeting for Catco where Cat's like, "I need to know who this woman is, and I need an interview with her by the end of the week."
Yeah.
I think this is the episode where she demands an interview with her by the end of the week.
She demands an interview in the next episode.
Okay.
Yeah. Though she does kind of just like mention her and how she's going to be great for pages.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a man getting out of a tanker truck and going into a diner.
He's got a head ridge. It's not as pronounced as Yondu's.
He doesn't have a head ridge at first. He's wearing a trucker cap.
Sorry.
We see the head ridge when he gets back in his truck.
Yeah, my bad.
But yeah, he goes in, sits down at a diner, orders something, and then
he watches the news, sees a woman save a plane.
And he immediately gets up and goes back into his truck.
And he's really angry about going back to his truck.
Yep.
And he's asked by his commander as to why the DEO operatives weren't dead.
To clarify, when he goes back to his truck, he does not get in the cab. He climbs up and gets inside of the tanker.
Mm-hmm. And then he's on a video call with his
commander.
Yeah, and the commander says, "Why aren't the DEO operatives dead?" And he's like, "Well, the bomb went off with no problem. Like, everything worked. It's just Jor-El's cousin, or..."
Yeah.
No, Vortox mentions that Jor-El saved his own child. That's what it is. So, like,
yeah, if Jor-El saved his kid, someone else might have saved theirs.
Yeah. And so the commander tells him to eliminate her.
He's like, "Yeah, I can do that. Might make a scene, but I can do that."
Then we get a montage where Wynn and Kara work together to create Kara's outfit.
And then her kind of just going around and doing some stuff.
Yeah, like really basic superhero stuff.
Like
bank robbery, car chase.
And then she gets picked up by some secret government organization called DEO.
Yeah, there's a fire in a building. She goes to save the people in the building because Wynn's like, "You're fireproof, right?"
Yeah.
So she goes to save this people, and then as she's flying, a dart comes spinning out of nowhere and hits her, and it's a glowing green dart.
I wonder what that could be.
And she stops flying, crashes into the ground, and gets kidnapped by the Department of Extranormal Operations.
DEO. I'm not gonna lie, the song DVNO by Justice just popped in my head.
DVNO.
Yeah, I wanted to do that, but to DEO.
DEO.
And then I wanted to put an N in there because the department name has a hyphen, so it's Department of Extra Normal.
DEO.
That's what my brain was doing.
No capital letters.
Yep.
So she wakes up at their base where she meets Hank Henshaw, the organization's director.
Yes.
And she then almost immediately finds out that her sister Alex, her foster sister Alex, is a DEO operative and not just like a biologist or whatever she thought she was.
And she also gets shown her ship she arrived in, which the DEO apparently picked up after she landed.
Yes.
And they explain to her what caused her to show up to Earth 24 years late. And that's because she got stuck inside the Phantom Zone, along with Fort Roz.
And Fort Roz is apparently a Kryptonian prison. It's a Kryptonian supermax. And while she was in the Phantom Zone, somehow
She got out.
Her pod was somehow connected to the fort. And when she got out, Fort Roz came with her.
And they both crashed into Earth.
Mm-hmm. And her crashing into Earth was the first action the DEO took.
Yeah.
It was Clark Kent, Superman, that led to the DEO being founded. But yeah.
DEO's their biggest funder is definitely Luthor Corp.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I would also not be entirely surprised if the DEO was in some way related to Argus, if not part of Argus or one of them.
You know what would be a fun thing to learn in the Supergirl universe before it ties into Arrow?
What's that?
If the president is Luthor. I doubt it. But President Luthor is always fun.
Yeah.
Also, he's not wrong. And he does a lot of good social reform policies. Sure, he makes it almost a totalitarian government, often a police state ran by robots. But as long as you're not a metahuman, it's generally fine. And I understand there's a lot of caveats there.
You want to hear my super toxic opinion?
What's up?
One of the only effective, best for humanity governmental states is a totalitarian dictatorship.
Yeah.
It just requires the right totalitarian dictator.
Yeah,
and the
which there never is.
And the issue there is the right person to make humanity better as a dictator is never going to be the right person to also enforce the laws that be required to make humanity better.
Yeah, it's honestly like Dune with the actual Issa Al Gaib, half-warm boy, sees the golden path. It's why people hate him, but he literally sees all possibilities in the timeline, which that's kind of what Luthor does in DC most of the fucking time, because he's either one of the smartest or the smartest person alive in DC at times. Literally, there's been instances where Brainiac's just nope, Luthor's smarter than me. Brainiac, a living supercomputer.
Which Brainiac, though? Brainiac 5?
I don't remember which one.
So they release Kara. They give her this whole rundown.
Yep.
She offers to help capture the criminals from Fort Roz, but Henshaw rejects her offer, saying that he doesn't trust her or something along those lines. She attempts to leave, but she's stopped by Alex, who's like, "Look, I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but I really couldn't." And Kara's honestly reasonably pissed.
Yeah, and it's basically it boils down to her storming out after being look, the only fucking reason this government department hired you is because you related to me.
And also, she's mad. She's you didn't care that I exposed myself, because it would put you at risk or put me at risk. You cared because it put your job at risk. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So she leaves and we go see her next day at work. And James Olsen gives her a picture of Supergirl. That way, Kat doesn't fire her, basically.
Yeah, because Kat storms into the office and she's...
Kara storms into the office
after Kat. Kara storms into the office and she's upset that her boss has dubbed this new hero Supergirl because girl is a diminutive title for women.
To which Kat Grant basically goes off on, how is girl diminutive, girl power, girl boss, that vibe.
Yeah, and I get where Kat's coming from.
Kat is saying we have reclaimed this word, as long as we're the ones using it, it is fine. Which, fair, you can reclaim power, but also, just naming someone is generally kind of not a strong play.
Yeah, we don't have, a Bat Boy.
Yeah, exactly.
We do have a Superboy. We have multiple Superboys. But to be fair, one of those Superboys was so powerful he almost ended the world, so... Universe.
Fair.
Multiple universes. But while she's blowing up at her boss, Kat kind of turns it around on Kara and starts being oh yeah? Well, tell me the reason why you're here. Tell me why I should keep you here. If girl's such a bad word.
And then Jimmy Olsen walks in with a picture of Supergirl from the bank heist.
And he's
she's walking directly to the camera. You see bullets bouncing off of her.
And he's yeah, actually, it was Kara who got this. She has a friend who works down at the bank
and got this picture, so she got them to let us use it.
And then Kat's well, why didn't you say so, Kara? You need to speak up and start taking credit for the things you do around here, or you're never going to get anywhere.
Yes. So then when they leave, Kara's talking to Jimmy Olsen and is just
I didn't need your help.
I had that handled. And he's yeah, sure you did. And she's yeah, thank you.
And right when she's talking to him, what is essentially a radio burst comes through the air. It's Vartox, the guy with the bone ridge on his head, broadcasting at 50,000 hertz, which is higher than humans can hear, but not higher than Kryptonians can hear. He's if you can hear this, come to the National City Power Plant. If you don't, I'm going to do bad things to your city. Yeah,
so she goes, she gets her ass handed to her because she hasn't fought anyone before.
So yeah, because not only she is super powerful, but Vartox is also a super powerful alien. More importantly, Vartox is a criminal with a history of violence.
And he has an axe that can hurt Kryptonians.
And she's never been in a fist fight in her life. Because if she had been in a fist fight in her life, she would be a murderer at this point.
Yeah. So he manages to wound her with the axe, but DEO shows up and runs him off by firing rockets at him in the middle of National City at a power plant.
It's so stupid. It's so
there's nothing in the news ever about it, which feels like, yeah, sure, that's something we could overlook, that they just don't talk about it. Except she works at a newspaper company.
Oh, no, DEO suppresses this so hard.
Yeah, but also, how? How?
Like, you know that little silver, like, pin thing that Will Smith has in Men in Black?
DEO has it?
Yeah.
Fair. I'll believe it, yeah.
Afterwards, Alex tries to explain to Kara that she was only trying to protect her because she didn't want DEO to, like, involve Kara if they didn't have to.
Yeah. She does this after Kara gets taken to DEO, gets the pieces of metals removed to be sampled, and then Kara goes home. And then Alex shows up at her apartment to explain, while Kara looks at her with X-ray vision through the door and listens to her talk.
Yeah, and eventually Alex encourages her to give being a hero another try. She's like, the world really needs more heroes. And so
Kara goes to open the door for Alex, and Alex is like, apologizes in physical person face to face, and then shows Kara a hologram of her mother.
Yes. And then they go back to the DEO base because there's a door that only Kara can open.
Yep.
Am I out of sequence?
No, that's...
Yeah, okay. And so she goes into this room, and it's basically the Fortress of Solitude for Superman, where he can talk to his dad, but instead it's Kara, and she can talk to the computer version of her mom.
Yeah, that's where she sees the hologram, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Her sister does drop the Fortress of Solitude as a fact that just exists.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kara talks Director Henshaw into letting her go deal with Vartox, because Vartox is coming back into town and is threatening to kill a bunch of people.
So she lands on a truck in front of Vartox, makes the truck explode, and then her and Vartox have a fight. He initially has the upper hand because he has more combat experience.
But then she laser beams his axe really, really hard.
Because once they examined the particles of the axe in the lab at DEO, they realized that heating it up could cause it to shatter, which her laser vision does cause it to shatter.
And he gets super fucking crippled and burnt.
And then he kills himself by stabbing himself in the chest.
With a shard of the axe, and just like, oh, you got so much worse coming.
And he's like, you thought I was bad? You don't even know bad.
Yep.
So we cut to the next day at Cat Worldwide, Catco Worldwide. And Kara's arriving. She's greeted by Wynn.
Yep. And he's just like, yo, that was super cool. And she's like, yeah, I'll tell you all about it later. I'm going to go see if James Olsen wants to grab lunch. Basically. Where he just lets slip that he's aware she's Supergirl.
Yeah, he's like, that fight must have burned a lot of calories. And she's like, what fight? And he eventually is like, yeah, your cousin sent me to spy on you, essentially. Not spy, but like...
help you out.
Because
and keep an eye on you on him here. She's like, so he wanted me to be a superhero? And he's like, he didn't want you to. He just wanted you to have help if you chose to.
No, he didn't want you to. He wanted you to choose to.
Yes.
So...
Superman won't tell you to clean your room. He'll just guilt you into it.
He wants you to want to clean your room.
Yeah.
Like, you're currently laying there and your room's a mess. And
you're happy and you're content. And it's not like a mess, it's just disorganized.
But Clark is sitting there judging you, and he wants you to know
that he's judging you, and he'd really like it if you cleaned your room, but he's not gonna make you do it. But like, you should, because it could be a bit neater, you know? And like, he didn't raise you to be so disorganized.
Here, James also gives her the blanket that baby Superman arrived in.
Yes, because it's bulletproof.
Yeah, so she can use it as a cape.
Yep.
That's pretty much the end of the Kara bit here. We then get a little more with the commander. The commander meets with somebody called the General, who gives him orders to find and kill Kara, as no one can interfere with their plan going forward, not even Kara, who is the General's niece. The General is Kara's aunt.
Kara's aunt, who is her sister's twin sister. Mm-hmm. They're the same actress.
Her mom's twin sister.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, that's the end of episode 1. Justice, after episode 1 of Supergirl, what do you think?
I said I was going to mention earlier. I didn't mention it as we were talking about it because I didn't feel great then, but I'll mention it now. I quite appreciate that we didn't fucking stick with the secret identity for at least 4 fucking episodes. Where she's like, here are the people that I am friends with, and they already know. Done. Let's go.
I mean, Flash doesn't really do that. Flash is like halfway between that.
Yeah.
Flash is Cisco and Snow and...
Wells know, but the people super close to me in my life don't know.
Detective West and Iris.
and Cisco, Wells, and Snow aren't close friends. At the beginning, they just become friends because they know.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. This shows no, everybody who is important to Kara except her boss, they all know now.
Yes. The only foreseeable downside in the show so far is the love triangle.
What love triangle? She's a lesbian.
The one that's going to appear between her, Jimmy Olsen, and Wynn
Winscott.
Yeah, Winscott.
I hate his name.
Sorry, his last name has an H in it, so my brain wants to say Scott, but I think it is Scott.
It's show. Scott. It's Winscott.
Yeah. Other than that, it's not bad. I'm not a huge fan of Vartox's design.
Yeah.
It's like Alien. It's like, here's this guy with some head ridge, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Vartox is kind of like the exact opposite of Wild Dog from Arrow's design.
Yeah.
Whereas like Vartox in Supergirl is designed to look more acceptable for a live-action TV show.
Whereas in the comics, literally the artist who made him said that they were inspired by Zardoz.
The gun is good, Zardoz.
Like, he didn't have so much of the bikini thing going on, but he had the same coloration and, like, still had, like, the briefs bottom, but they were more of, like, wrestling spats almost.
Yeah.
And then he had giant red thigh-high boots to go with those. And then he had, like, a little jacket. And he didn't have to wear the cross bandolier red X, but he had a little jacket to go with it.
And to clarify what I mean is, Season 5 of Arrow introduces the vigilante Wild Dog.
And he is so comic book accurate, at least visually.
Visually, perfect comic book character. Like, straight out of the pages.
And then I would say Legends of Tomorrow does it semi-accurately. Like, kind of half step between.
Yeah. But anyways, would you watch more? Are you enjoying this show?
I'd watch more after the first episode. Like, it is nowhere near the most offensive to the senses and tastes Arrowverse show. The Flash starts fucking horribly.
Flash episode 1 is actively terrible. Supergirl episode 1 isn't. I would watch more, not just because, well, yeah, just because it's Arrowverse. I hate to say that. He's like, it is the best starter. But like, at this point, I'm just watching Arrowverse to get to the Spectre, the end of Arrow.
It is not the best starter. You fucking take that back.
Oh, what's the best starter?
Constantine is part of the Arrowverse.
My bad. It's the second best starter to the Arrowverse.
Acceptable. Black Lightning started pretty strong, and it's part of the Arrowverse. We watched that as well.
Yeah, we have reviewed another Arrowverse show in the past, Black Lightning.
I don't really remember much about it, but I remember kind of liking it.
Yeah, I just think Supergirl did it better. Supergirl felt tighter.
Yeah, fair. But we are also, like, when we start Black Lightning, we're picking up at the retired life of Jefferson Pierce after he's a superhero. Yeah. Which I appreciate.
Yeah. So that takes us on to episode 2. We'd both watch more. Well, I would tentatively watch more. I would watch more because I'm watching the Arrowverse, and I, like, outside of the podcast, I'm still watching the Arrowverse. Episode 2 is entitled Stronger Together.
Yeah.
And so it starts a week after Supergirl's revealed her existence to National City. This is the thing I both like and hate about the Arrowverse. In the Arrowverse, anything that happened in last week's episode is referred to as something that happened last week.
Yes.
Because the Arrowverse happens vaguely in real time.
Yeah, it's vaguely one-to-one with real time.
Like, not minute to minute by episode, but like the passage of time. Even like season breaks, they like come up with a reason why that much time jumped.
Yeah.
And that's fine to an extent. I'm sure it like makes it feel better when you're watching it week by week, but when you're binging, it just kind of makes you feel terrible for watching 6 episodes in a row.
Yeah.
But a week after Supergirl's revealed herself to National City, she is being essentially trained, and her limits are being tested by the DEO.
And she's complaining about it. She's like, "Why do I have to do this? Is it because I'm an alien?"
No, she thinks it's because she's a woman, or she was gonna. That's what Henshaw thought she was gonna say.
Yeah.
But Henshaw's like, no, it's because you have no practical combat like experience.
Yeah.
These tests are mandatory for everybody. Your tests are just a little harder than other people's.
When she confronts him, the way she starts phrasing it, he thinks she's going to say woman, so he starts to talk over her because that's what the response should be when you think someone's complaining that you're being prejudiced because they're a woman. Talk over the woman. Whatever.
Wait, does that not work? Is that not
No, not really. It does not shore up your case at all. But he thinks she's going to say woman, and she's like, because I'm an alien.
Yeah. And he's like, no, it's because you have no experience.
You fucking suck at all of this. This is things we have all of our prospective agents do.
The only difference is you're nigh indestructible and can throw a tank, so yours is a little tougher, yeah. Like, I'm sorry that it's a little harder for you, but it's because you're literally superior to every human on the fucking planet, physically speaking.
Yeah. So then she's fine. They launch some missiles at her. She avoids them. They explode. And then she's just like, so I pass? And he's like, yeah, sure. You could probably do less wanton destruction. Too much of that in common with Superman.
Yeah.
Which fair.
And Kara asks her sister essentially the same thing. Are all these tests necessary? Why do we gotta do this? And Alex is like, believe it or not, Henshaw is actually looking out for your best interest. He just doesn't want you to be completely outpaced if you encounter somebody like Zardoz again. Because if you don't remember, Zardoz almost killed you the first time. If it wasn't for DEO, you'd be dead.
Yeah. And Alex is just like, look, only been doing this for like 2 hours. You've been pushing as hard as you can. But even you have your limits. And then Kara's just like, I get that. I do, but I've hidden who I am for like the past decade. And I don't want to do that anymore.
And her sister's like, look, I was in training for a year before I was even allowed in the field. Like, it's just gonna be something that takes time.
Yep. And then, oh no, there's a fire at National City Wharf, Docks, Port, whatever they want to call it.
When Scott calls her over an earpiece. So she like takes off without warning Alex or the others. Alex is like, wait, but you've been doing this for 2 hours. We were testing your endurance. And then Kara's like, whoosh, boom.
Yep. And
that whoosh boom was me moving my hand and pretending to break the sound barrier.
Don't let him lie to you. He wasn't pretending. He broke the sound barrier. That boom you heard was him breaking the sound barrier.
I was going to keep that a secret, but okay.
Yeah, I gotta move soon, actually, so I don't know how that's gonna go for recording the podcast. We can do it remotely, right?
Whoosh, boom.
Anyways, though, so
Wait, is this a reference to Flash's girlfriend moving and then being like, I don't know if we can do this?
This was a reference to Nicole Clayton, but you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Either way. So she ends up getting there, and she asks the fire chief, who's on site, what she can do to help. And he's like, I don't know, move the giant...
He's like, I don't know, but if something's not done, that oil freighter's got X number of barrels of oil. It's going to go up. Yeah, it's going to make this whole thing worse.
Someone, I don't think the fire chief is just like, you could just try to blow it out. Superman does that. So she tries, but she fails.
She just makes it worse.
Yeah, she provides too much oxygen to it without enough force of air or ice to put it out.
I don't know how Superman does ice breath. I don't know what, like...
I don't know. When you breathe air out, it's generally warmer. I don't understand what's going on with Kryptonian DNA.
Like, I get how he can blow stuff out, just but he's like...
What I really don't get is... I understand super breath, whatever. I don't understand how Kryptonians' breath is colder when generally, from what I remember in comics and shit, they have a higher core body temperature, so it should be even warmer than humans' breath.
I don't know. That doesn't work. So she's like, oh, I have an idea. I'll pull the freighter with the oil out of the way so it's not near the fire anymore.
Yeah.
And she does, and it works, and everybody claps.
Until because she's only moving it by the bow of the ship. And at one focused point, the ship cracks.
And then she spills a whole bunch of oil into the bay.
Because upside, they do manage to get the fire out, but now there's a massive oil spill at National City Port.
Yep. And so she walks into Catco Media the next day, and as she's being met by Wynn out of the elevators, he comments because she still smells like oil.
And she's like, yeah, I know. I took 3 showers. It's not coming out.
And Kat is talking about how the Supergirls went from a would-be superhero to an eco-terrorist overnight by dumping loads of oil into the bay. And when it points out in the meeting, he's like, yeah, but she's only been a hero for a week. Like, even Superman made mistakes early on.
Yeah. And then we see Maxwell Lord, typically a Wonder Woman villain, if I remember correctly, on the TV talking about just how there's been some issues with Supergirl in National City, and that it's only going to get worse for National City, because sure, Metropolis has Superman, but look at everything that's been a problem for Metropolis since Superman came in. Look, National City does not need Metropolis's problems.
He also commits to cleaning the bay, spending his own money to do it, And Wynn's like, man, who cares what Maxwell Lord thinks? And Kara goes, you care what Maxwell Lord thinks? He's your personal hero. Because Wynn owns multiple of Lord's brand of watches and his biography and his autobiography, like so on and so forth.
So then this is where Cat Grant comes in, and they'll have a meeting. And Cat's just like, look, when I branded Supergirl, there was an implicit she would at least be
super, above average.
And that hasn't worked out so far. And we've unfortunately tied her to our brand, so I need... Wynn had told her it's okay, that's your first week. Yep.
Here, James steps up in front of Kate and goes, it's her first week.
Even Superman made mistakes in his first week.
Like when they were starting out. And Kat's like, yeah, she's saving lives, but she's doing it in the sloppiest way possible. So, So
it's up to them to take control and run Supergirl's image for her. That way it's not ruined. That way they can have their own heroine narrative.
And then this is when Kat goes, I need an interview with her by the end of the week or somebody's fired.
Yep. So Kat ends up asking James if he could talk to Superman, to talk to Supergirl, to see if they could get an interview. And he's just like,
That's not really the way that works.
Yeah, I know the guy, but like, I don't exploit my friends for news articles.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're going to, or you're fired.
So she dismisses everybody from her office, except for Kara, and she's like, look, You may think I don't know what's going on, Kara, but I do. I'm not blind about what goes on around here. And Kara's like, oh my god, what? You know? Like, and she's like, no, I don't know.
And I don't really care. Do whatever you need to do to get your head out of the clouds. Take some gym classes, see a shrink, whatever it takes, and then get back behind your desk and do your job.
Yep. Then we cut to a chemical factory.
Well, I mean, after that, we see Kara talk to some people, and that, like, she talks to Jimmy and is like, hey, I'm not going to do that interview. And Jimmy's like, she wouldn't even recognize you as Supergirl. It'd be fine. She's like, really? She sees me every day. It's not like I wear a mask or anything. He's like, yeah, but you wear the glasses, and she's not going to expect to see you because no one ever expects to see the normal. He's explaining how Superman can get away with being Clark.
Oh, he's also like, she doesn't even see you now. Why would she see you when you don't have your glasses on?
Yes. And then we cut to a chemical plant called Plastino Chemical.
And there's two guards talking about Supergirl having just arrived in National City.
Yep.
With the ones like, it's nice that National City has its own hero now, you know? Metropolis has had Superman for quite a while, and Gotham has that Bat dude, that Bat Demon Man, and like he doesn't actually mention Batman, but like the sentiment is there.
Yeah. And then the other guards are like, yeah, you were excited when we got our own basketball team too, and look how that turned out. I think I was just like, whoa, man, come on. Basically.
They walk into the building, go their separate ways. And one of the guards catches a man filling a tank with chemicals.
So he is like, what's going on? The guy's like, just some maintenance stuff I had to do. He's like, cool. Show me your badge.
And then the guy makes noises and has giant mandible mouth.
And so the guard with his gun pulled fires a few shots. Guy doesn't seem phased. So the guard turns and runs, screaming for help. And
the mandible mouth man jumps on him and...
Well, it jumps on the ceiling.
And then jumps on the man. And then there's some noises. And
then the next time we see this location, it's because the DEO is there and there's a dead body.
They're investigating the theft of chemicals and the murder of a guard. And Alex is calling Supergirl to get an assist. And Henshaw's like, wait, why'd you do that?
And she's like, I mean, she knows about aliens.
And this seems...
looks like an alien thing.
Yeah.
Like, see that weird claw thing that we don't know what it is? Seems pretty alien to me.
And Alex is like, Kara's a resource now. It's a resource we didn't have before. Let's use the resource.
So Kara shows up and Henshaw's just like, look, don't touch.
Yeah, they go on a bit of a talk about the chemical plant. It manufactures a chemical ingredient used for chemical bombs. But it's also a chemical that some aliens eat.
So we come back to Krypton in a flashback where a young Kara is waiting up for her mother, who eventually shows up and is like, why are you up so late? And Kara's like, I wanted to see you. You work a lot. And mom's like, yeah, because I do a very important job.
Her mom's basically like the head prosecutor for Krypton.
Yeah, and they just had a Helgramite prisoner that they had to deal with. So then we kind of deal with Kara just learning about Helgramites.
Learning about like what Fort Ross is a little bit and like learning about what her mom does. And then she goes back to messing with her hand crystal tablet device.
Most inconvenient way to read a book ever.
And she's like, she looks at her device and she goes, bring up Helgramite. And so she learns about Helgramites there.
So then, back in real time at the DEO headquarters, she's like, I think it's a Helgramite. And so they search it up on their database, because they have access to Fort Ross's database from when they took over its wreckage. What do you know? There was a Helgramite prisoner at Fort Ross. Crazy.
And Kara offers to help find it. She's like, I defeated Varshox, I can do this. And Henshaw comes to the conclusion that he's only going to do it if she can prove to them that she can handle herself without being killed. And that she needs to be trained in the DEO training room.
So he has Alex go help her with that. Which
the DEO training room has been retrofitted with kryptonite emitters so that she can be on a more even playing ground with the humans and can more evenly learn how to do martial arts.
And then she gets her ass handed to her because she does not know how to fight.
And also they only have the kryptonite at 18% saturation, so it's like barely on.
So after Kara storms out after getting her ass kicked, Alex talks to Director Henshaw and she's like, I hate that you're the one that made me do that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sucks to be you, basically.
So then we cut back to Catco the next day, and Cat asks Kara why she was walking strange, and Kara's like, oh, I took your advice. I took up a kickboxing class. And Cat's like super uninterested by that.
Yeah,
She's
and
like,
then Kara notices that Cat Grant has the new layouts. In which she is talking bad about Supergirl.
Yeah.
And she's like, why the fuck are you doing that? You talked about how we need to support her image. And like,
she was just trying to save the city. And Kat's like, yeah, well, she's trying to save the city, but she's taking on too much too early. She's not ready for the stuff she's trying to do.
Yeah.
And so she's only making more problems by trying to solve problems.
And Cat Grant goes into this whole thing because Kara's like, well, if you could tell her how she should do this better, what would you say?
Yeah. And she's like, she needs to start small and work her way up. Like,
Yeah.
Like you're doing, Kara. Like, starting small and working your way up.
Mm-hmm. So Kara walks out of Kat's office and walks up to Win and tells him to meet her in the alley in 5 minutes. And then we have Win walking out into the alley where, oh, look, there's also a Jimmy Olsen. So there's a fun interaction of them both being like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, so after their initial surprise, Kara's like, look, I'm going to be a hero. I need to practice and I need your help.
Well, she shows up in outfit and they're both like, wait, he knows?
Yeah.
Classic comedy slapstick moment. And she's like, she ignores it. She's like, I need both your help to be a hero. So then we get a montage of her doing simple things like rescuing cats from trees, literally.
Well, it's not a cat. It's a pet named Fluffy.
And they think it's a cat.
Who Win thinks is a cat, but it's actually a boa constrictor.
Yes.
And he's like, who would name their pet snake Fluffy? And honestly, brilliant name for a pet snake.
Yeah, obviously.
At a warehouse, we don't know what type of warehouse, the Helgramite is confronted by two of General Astra's underlings.
Yes.
And the Helgramite...
Astra being
Kara's
Alora's sister's name. Yes.
Kara's aunt, yeah.
Yes.
He's like trying to explain that he doesn't want any trouble. He doesn't want to be part of her
thing. He's just hungry because Helgramites, as we learned briefly in the blurb during Kara's time, they eat chemicals basically. They need certain chemicals,
and they have a near unending appetite.
Yeah. And Earth doesn't have the right chemicals, so he's just trying to get his own food.
Yeah, and one of the Kryptonite soldiers who is meeting with him reminds him that like Astra has promised to take care of all their needs in exchange for loyalty. And the Helgramite's like, I don't want to be a part of this.
So like, cool. You're gonna help us capture Supergirl though. And he's like, I really don't want to. And they're like, look, you're either gonna do it or bad things are gonna happen.
Yeah, Astra shows up and she's like, look, you're either with me or you're dead. That's as simple as it is. So you're helping me now or you're dead. It's not a command. It's not an invitation. It's an order. I guess it is a command. My bad.
Then Alex shows up at Kara's place while Win and
James are there, and Alex gets mad because Kara's told these two people about her being a superhero.
Yeah, and Kara's just like, well,
also,
he already knew.
Also, they're talking about this, and she's in her Supergirl outfit, and there's a knock on the door, and Kara just walks over and answers the door, and they're like,
wait, no. Yeah.
Because Kara can tell who it is by her enhanced senses.
Yeah. So her sister's upset. She's like, I need help. They're going to help me. They're my friends. I'm going to tell them.
Yeah.
That's not your decision to make.
And Alex is here to recruit. Alex spends a lot of time in these two episodes being like, I'm sorry, the DEO sucks. Here she's like, I'm sorry, the DEO made me like beat the shit out of you. It was bad how he handled that.
And then that gets interrupted by the DEO calling Alex in to go do stuff. And she's like, I'll talk to you later, Kara. Mm-hmm. And she goes to the DEO where Henshaw explains that the Helgramite prisoner was attacking chemical plants because he's trying to get a certain like chlorine chain.
It's a specific chemical that's being like decommissioned and pulled out of like circulation.
Yeah, it was used for pesticides.
Yeah, and it's being taken out of the market
by the U.S. government being in shorting batches.
Yeah, and 6 more plants have been attacked since then. And we also learn that the Helgramite's blood isn't carbon-based like humans, but instead has a chlorine foundation, which is why the Helgramite needs this chlorine. Essentially, it would be poison to humans.
Yes, so they're going to set up a plan to catch him. And then we cut to Jimmy Olsen being called into Cat Grant's office, where she's just like, hey, how's the whole Supergirl interview thing going?
Yeah. And James is like, look, can't do it. I'm sorry.
Well, at first she's like, I had assumed that wasn't needed anymore because she's doing a lot better job. And she's like, I don't pay you for your assumptions. You're going to give me that interview or you're fired. You got 24 hours.
Yep. So elsewhere in National City, the Department of Extra Normal or whatever is setting a trap for the Helgramite, like you were saying.
Extra Normal Operations.
That's what it is. And it's DDT. That's what the chemical is, Justice. It's DDT.
Oh, fair. Yeah. I mean, it is pretty toxic.
Yeah, it's literally poison. It's literally like poison. It kills you. The Helgramite arrives, jumps on the vehicle that's carrying the DDT, and after Henshaw and Alex both shoot the Helgramite, he jumps into their vehicle, shoots stingers into several of the agents, killing them.
And abducts Alex.
So outside of Catco, Kara offers to do the interview with Cat so James wouldn't be fired.
And he's all just like, yeah, I appreciate that. I just really thought things would be different here in National City. Like,
I could be my own man, but...
I used to just be a normal photographer. And then I took one picture, and suddenly everyone knew who I was. And everyone was asking about me because of someone I knew. They didn't care about what I was doing. They cared about who I knew.
And then Kara's like, do you know what the symbol on my chest is? And he's like, it means something like hope, right? Your cousin told me about it. She's like, no, it's our house motto. It means stronger together because on Krypton, nobody is their own man.
Everyone has obligations to everyone else to help them out. No one has to do anything alone.
And it's an honor to be asked to help others.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm going to do this interview with Kat. And like, it's not just for you, but like,
it's for everything that we can do together. And then she gets a call from Director Henshaw's like, your sister got kidnapped.
Yeah. So Kara gets to the DEO base and she's like, essentially berating, yelling at Henshaw because she put through all these tests for no reason, and then when it actually matters, they won't use her, they won't call her in for help. If she had been there, she could have stopped her sister from being kidnapped. And he's like,
it's fine, we got spy satellites and trackers and stuff. She's like, cool, I'm gonna go do my own thing. So she flies off, and using her super hearing can find her sister. She calls in to Henshaw, and then he tries to tell her to wait, but obviously she doesn't. So she shows up at the warehouse where her sister is, only to come face to face with her aunt. Who she thought, obviously, who she was like, oh, my aunt's just dead, definitely.
And she thinks this is her mom. She's like, what? Mom?
No.
No?
No. She just straight up knows it's her aunt.
It was Alex.
Alex briefly thought it was her mother, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Alex thought it was Laura.
Just like, that's not my mom, that's my aunt. I know the difference between the two. I grew up around them for 13 years.
That's right. Sorry. My notes are not the best sometimes.
Yeah, because Alex briefly sees Astra first before we get there, but not a lot happens. Astra's just like, puny humans, weak, mortal. It's going to be so easy to control your planet. And Alex is just like, I was kind of fucked up. Not going to happen, though.
Yeah. So Astra then reveals who she is to Alex and is like,
why she didn't see Kara that much later. And she's like, because you were super busy and off planet for a while. And she's like, no, because your mother put me in prison.
Yeah, so Kara tracks down Alex, like you said, with super hearing. She gets to Alex's location at the warehouse, and Kara comes into the warehouse, doesn't see anybody, sees Alex though, walks towards Alex, and it's a trap. She turns around to get sucker punched by her aunt.
Yep.
Who's like, it's been a long time since we've seen each other. And then Kara gets up. She can't believe that her aunt's alive because Krypton blew up.
Hey, your mother actually imprisoned me. It's why I hate her. It's going to be great to be able to fight you, basically.
Yeah. Astra then reveals to Kara that she was in prison, like you said, in Fort Ross by Alora.
Yeah.
The two fight, and
Kara's holding her own against Astra for a while when we cut over to Alex, who's being attacked by the Helgramite. But she eventually kills him by shoving his stinger into his own heart.
Yes.
And Kara manages to kind of run Astra off by overpowering her in a laser stare down.
No, she overpowers her in the laser stare down.
Yeah, and
then Henshaw shows up, and Astra grabs Henshaw by the neck and goes, is like taunting him and like talking about how no weapon can hurt her. And then he stabs her in the arm.
Krypton knife. Yeah.
And
then she flies off.
Yeah.
Even though she has kryptonite in her arm.
So we come back to the DEO base, and Kara is asking Alex to train her. She's like, look, you were right. I need better training. You were able to hold your own against the Helgramite. You were even able to beat the Helgramite by yourself, but I could barely hold my own against my aunt.
Yeah.
I need better training.
And then this is where she is shown the base, like the room specifically for her.
Yeah.
Before she was shown like a brief hologram that they found in the ship.
Yeah, you're right. This is where she meets the supercomputer AI that is an AI based off her mom. And it's
Superman's Jor-El computer.
Yeah. And the AI, Alora, is like,
I'm programmed to do anything to help you. And she's like, what would you ask me? And she's like, can I have a hug?
And she's like, I am not programmed to hugs.
Hugs are not allowed.
Yeah. So we then cut back to we then cut to Astra's base, and she has the kryptonite dagger pulled out of her arm, and she's questioning her associate as to how a human could have a weapon that could hurt her.
I mean, first, we see a tiny bit of growth from Henshaw.
Yes.
Because Alex outside the room is talking to Henshaw, and she's like, hey, thanks for helping her out. He's like, it's the least I could do for Supergirl.
Yeah, and it's the first time. Like, I won't tell her you called her Supergirl. Because it's the first time he's called her Supergirl instead of just...
And his response is just like, good, you shouldn't do that.
So
you shouldn't tell her.
Then we cut to Astra's base, and she's wondering how a weapon made on Earth could hurt her, and her associate's like...
No, I've never seen it.
Never seen anything like this, but it looks like the humans are more resourceful than we thought.
And he pulls it out, and he's studying it, and she's just like, get it away from me, it's still making me weak. And she looks visibly weakened, so again, how the fuck did she fly off with kryptonite in her arm?
Yep. So
it's nice to see inconsistencies with how kryptonite works continue on, no matter what form of media, franchise, or run, or edition.
Yep. So then we cut to Kat Grant getting into her car, and she's calling James Olsen.
She's like, I know I said I gave you 24 hours, but if you don't have something now...
But if you don't have something by now, you're not going to have something by the morning.
Consider yourself fired. He's like, I hate to break to you, Miss Grant. Your interview with Supergirl's already started. And she's like, what? And he's like, look outside your window. And she does, and she's flying through the air.
Because earlier in the conversation, she's like, the car makes a big bump.
Yes.
And she's like, hey, be careful. Watch how you're driving. I'm back here. And then he's, like you said, your interview's already began. And she looks out the window, car's flying.
She eventually gets set down on a cliff outside of National City. And she gets out of the car, and Supergirl's like, James Olsen said you wanted to talk.
And that's the end of the episode.
So, Josh, as assumedly a fan of the Arrowverse, it seems.
I really enjoy Arrow, and I've grown to love Flash. Flash got very good, and then Constantine is top tier.
What are your thoughts on Supergirl?
It's okay.
Fair.
Like, it's not a TV show that I would watch if it wasn't connected to other TV shows I was watching.
I'm not generally a man who's a fan of the Man of Steel and his compatriots.
Yeah, that's a large portion of it, but it's also, like, part of the appeal of the Arrowverse is the interconnectivity of, like, the shows and how they overlap and build a more fleshed out universe. Unfortunately, Supergirl doesn't directly connect to the Arrowverse for 4 goddamn seasons.
Yeah.
That's a lot of TV to watch just because they eventually overlap. Like, and because of that, I don't think I'd watch more of it. I am going to watch more of it because I'm trying to just watch the Arrowverse.
Fair.
I don't know why. I don't know what made me start on this path. That makes sense.
You talked about how much I must hate myself for watching all 9 seasons of Smallville. 10, sorry. The 11th one is a comic book series. I can never remember if it's 10 that's a comic book or 11 it's 11. But you talked about how much I've hated myself for watching all of Smallville. Arguably, I'd say you have it worse. Yeah,
I've only watched 2 seasons of Flash, 4 seasons of Arrow, a season of Legends of Tomorrow, a season of Vixen, and a season of Constantine. Like, that's only 4, 6, 7, 8 seasons so far.
Yeah.
I only have like another 9, 10 seasons to go before Arrow's over, 11 seasons to go before Arrow's over. It's a lot.
On a weird note, though.
Yeah.
Both the Smallville and the Arrowverse have actors from the Teen Wolf franchises appear in them.
What? Smallville has...
Their Deathstroke is an old man Deathstroke, and he's the Argent old man head of family.
Oh.
That's their Deathstroke.
Okay.
Yep.
Weird overlap to be had.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing. And I'm just like,
I have enjoyed this show, though. These first 2 episodes of Supergirl are very good. The writing's tight. The humor's good. I just don't know if, like, episodic Supergirl TV show that's essentially standalone is for me.
Fair.
But I would watch more of it because I'm watching the Arrowverse. If I wasn't doing an Arrowverse watch through, probably would stop here.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing that would put me off of it is if their aliens continue to be boring, just normal looking people with the occasional, like, here's a slight detail that's a bit different. Give me the weird aliens. Make it fun. Give me good character design.
Would you watch more of this without the Arrowverse pressure?
I would not.
Yeah, that's how I'm at. So there you have it. We've watched 3 DC shows over the last month and a half for this podcast, and mostly they've been okay.
Okay. Which honestly is pretty good showing for DC live action.
It's better than the movies.
Yep.
Anyways, we want to thank you for flying with us. If you're at Gen Con, I hope you have a great time. We're going to be there too. We're not doing anything as a podcast there because we're very tiny.
Yeah.
But we will be there. We hope that if you're there, you're having a great time too.
I would say you could say hello to us, but you have no idea what we look like. If you can identify me by my voice, I guess go ahead. It's weird though. But I know some people have that ability.
I might be packing my Copilots mug, so if you see somebody with a Copilots review mug, that's one of us.
There are only 2 of those mugs in existence, yes.
Yeah, because we can't sell the art.
No, we cannot. Which I'm fine with. We probably could if we talked to the artists. They seemed pretty okay with it, but like, no intention to do that.
I know we talked about it on our Gen Con report last year, but that was the highlight of Gen Con for me last year, was getting to meet the artists that did our artwork.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That was dope.
I never thought that would happen. But anyways, thank you for flying with us. I guess we shouldn't sign off just yet because...
If you would like to talk to us about anything or tell us how wrong we are and Supergirl's amazing or any comic book facts I got wrong, because I know some weird random trivia, but I think all my trivia was right.
Yeah, mostly I think so. Or if you want to let us know you're going to be at Gen Con.
Yep.
There's a myriad of ways to contact us. The internet offers a baffling multitude of ways to contact us.
Most of which we don't utilize, but here are the ones we do.
And specifically, it does not offer, though, an AI replica of our mother.
Fair.
That's not an option to contact us.
No.
But there are a bunch of options. You were going to say?
You can email us at copilotsreview@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on Twitter.
And Blue Sky.
At Copilotsreview. And you can find a link to all 3 of those, as well as our Discord, our Patreon, and our YouTube, by going to copilotsreview.simplecast.com.
We just want to thank you for flying with us.
And please fly again soon.